And I want to ask us to do a little bit of an experiment in the ways that we might embody our self-negating, critical Virgo narratives. Everyone has Virgo in their chart. So I want to invite you to say the words or the phrase to yourself that are most resonant with the feeling of not being good enough. And there are probably places in your life, or maybe particular experiences, memories, or relationships where this message and its kind of lived felt sense have been stronger than others. But we're noticing right here what happens in the inner body. And I want to invite folks to go very deeply into the posture. And so as you feel this feeling, the feeling of not being good enough, being defective or faulty or not knowing how to do it or whatever it is, right? It might be an inherent value thing. It might be lack of skill. It might be a message somebody else gave you. We're not necessarily believing it in this moment, but we are allowing our bodies to express the feeling. And I want to ask you to really notice what happens in your posture. What happens to your eyes and your face? Where does your attention go? What happens in your spine, in your heart, in your lungs, in your intestines? Can you feel your feet at all? How about your jaw, your tongue, your throat? What happens in your pelvic floor? Okay, so noticing. Right now we are doing research. My heart was like a walnut, making itself as small as possible, hiding away. I felt blocked, very little, nauseated. I noticed a lot of scapula bending inwards, scapula or shoulder blades, sort of a tense, passive posture, curling inwards, right? Ugh, so tight, suffocating, cross-eyed. I imagined a rope with a million knots. A canyon of pain arises in my heart, a deep crack and a depth of intensity. Left side collapses, feeling of the left side sliding down, clenching in the chest and throat. Yeah, increasing rigidity of performance, frozen breath, falsely open face, wide, unseeing eye. Let's just give some gentle stroking here as we sway our bodies. Yeah, just rocking back and forth and letting your head and your neck sway. And then letting the hands come down over your breastbone. And as we just sway side to side, letting your hands make little circles over the heart. And as you hum your tune, you might just let your eyes soften. From the backs of our bodies, I want to invite us all to call in at least one really loving and very well ancestor, and letting that ancestor kind of just hold the space behind your back. And if this ancestor were to see you working with the self-negating narratives, I'm not enough, they were to see you in that heart like a walnut, curled in space, what message would they bring? Feeling your gratitude, feeling your sense of honoring and acknowledging who they are, what they've given. What is the feeling in your body of the deep desire to offer what you have? Now let's feel into the posture of sacred service, of devotion. What happens in your eyes and your face? What happens in your tongue and your throat and your jaw? How does your spine feel? Your heart, your lungs? I've never given literal birth, but that was the word and the posture that came through. Open, legs wide, palms up, head extending back, spine strong. How to be in full service to others and still rooted connection to my support and stay with me as I continue to serve. My hands were connected and legs crossed. It felt like connection between systems of my body and support. I felt strongly my heart and lungs. Okay, so I want to name that part of what we just did was trauma healing. That first space where we all, I think as a community, really felt the isolation, right, of self-negating individualism. I'm not good enough, right? These messages that we are given in so many ways. Trauma across the board, many ways that it manifests. Part of what it does is it dislocates us, right? It severs us from our webs of connection. So then when we are support ourselves to, oh, right, there's connection here. And there's so many branches of connections, but there's also lots of invisible helpers. When we reconnect, we're doing trauma healing work. And so any of the somatic practices that help us do that are actually rewiring the patterns in our body that consolidate separation.